The Eustice Diamonds emit fiery bursts of light, flash, sparkle, dazzle, onto the graceful throat and milky décolletage of his young wife. With her every movement, every breath, the necklace sends tiny dots of light dancing over her smooth skin. Ralph and Crystal Stonewell stare into the mirror, transfixed. The marriage of a senator's daughter to a prince will be a sumptuous event with many photographers. Network news will show video of the wedding, and important websites will display photos and video clips, while the bride may be the centerpiece. The many celebrated guests are also bound to be featured. Neither Ralph nor Crystal Stonewell is a noteworthy personage, but the famous Eustice Diamonds might turn out to be the most noteworthy guest. The legendary necklace is a relic of a time when such pieces were constructed for and worn by the wives and mistresses of rich, powerful men. Today, only a few of these extravagant artifacts can be found. They are usually displayed in museums in heavily guarded cases or locked in vaults, as this one has been, known to the world mainly by their photographs and reputations. Because his young, beautiful wife asked him to, Ralph Stonewell agreed to let her wear the famous jewels for this state occasion. He expects the precious piece to draw attention and publicity for his family business, Eustice Jewelers. On the night before the wedding, together, they had entered the dark jewelry store, bypassing alarms and time locks. Ralph had taken the treasure from the vault and fastened it around her neck. The stones lay heavily on her breast. Even in the dim light they sparkled, but when Ralph turned on the counterlight, the vision had taken away their breath. How magnificent it is, and how beautiful, how regal Crystal looks. She feels like royalty. For the first time in her life, Crystal burns with an intense desire. She wants never to take them off, wants never to return these dazzling gems to the vault where they might lie unseen again for decades. In the mirror, Ralph smiles proudly, like a doting father. "It might have been created for you," he says. "They never looked so beautiful on anyone. We will wear them to the wedding, but don't tell anyone. We'll just show up. We don't have to say anything. The necklace will be recognized, and you will be photographed. The Eustice Diamonds are going to be in the news. Then we'll tell the reporters that the jewels will be on display at the Beverly Hills store next week. I'll hire a guard. It'll be worth it." Eustice Jewelers has a store in nearly every stylish city in North America. The stores, though they retain the name of the founder, John Worthy Eustice, belong to the Stonewell Trust. Ralph Stonewell, a beneficiary of the trust, also manages the Beverly Hills store. Crystal is vague about these details. She knows only that she has married a beautiful home, a virtually unlimited budget, and a generous husband who does everything he can to please her. She is aware that her marriage made her part of a rich and noble jewelry empire. As for the Eustice Diamonds, Crystal knows what everyone knows, that the jewels have been famously photographed, written about, and exhibited. The necklace has been called the most valuable piece of jewelry in North America, if not the world. But that last is an exaggeration, as Chrissy, will eventually discover. But until tonight, she has never actually seen them. The necklace is said to have been created in the 1770s for the mistress of a Mogul, who was, among other things, a dealer in precious stones. When the Mogul's mistress left him, she took the necklace with her, and it had vanished for a time, resurfacing in later years. It passed through the hands of many owners, legitimate and otherwise, having been stolen and recovered again and again. By the 1890s, the necklace, valued beyond the reach of private ownership, was acquired by an international jeweler, John Worthy Justice. He obtained the handsome gems, practically stole them, it was said, in a bankruptcy auction. John Worthy Justice displayed them at the flagship Justice Jewelers of New York for many months, where they came to be known as the Eustice Diamonds. Then, after an attempted robbery, the necklace had disappeared into a vault. From there, due to various settlements and estate divisions, they made their way to the vault of Justice Jewelers of Beverly Hills. Owned by the Stonewell Trust, they have reposed there, mostly in darkness, for more than 50 years. On the day of the wedding, just before they get into the rented limousine, Ralph again fastens the diamonds around Crystal's neck. From the hall mirror, she catches a glimpse of herself, her delicately made-up face, wide-brimmed pink hat, upswept black hair, flowered silk dress, and the diamonds, too lavish really for this daytime occasion, shimmering on her breast. Ralph's niece, Courtney Blaze Stonewell, is marrying the crown prince of some small country or other. The wedding takes place in a 100-year-old cathedral with a small Baroque orchestra, a harpist, and a choir. Besides the well-known Senator Stonewell, a couple of movie stars, a state senator, a justice of the California Superior Court, and several other dignitaries attend the nuptials. Half a dozen recognizable news anchors are here. For such an event, a woman wears fine jewels if she has them, even if it is held in the daytime. And there is no lack of dazzle. Courtney is a storybook bride, white and sparkling like a snow queen. But at the reception, once the Justice Diamonds are recognized, Crystal steals glory from them all. As Ralph had hoped, all cameras focus on Crystal and on the Justice Diamonds. The dynamics of this spectacle leave Crystal dazed. Her recollections of these events will be gleaned mainly from videos on YouTube. She is in them all, or rather the Justice Diamonds are in them all. On the social page of the Times, her photo appears beside a write-up promising a public display of the diamond necklace at Justice Jewelers Beverly Hills next week. At home, Ralph takes the necklace from Crystal and puts it in the fire safe, intending to return it to the store on Monday morning, naturally. But when Monday morning arrived, Ralph was dead. Chrissy had set out for an early run on Sunday morning, hoping to outrun a throbbing hangover. But she got no farther than Starbucks, where 2 lattes failed to make it better, so she walked home. Ralph's doctor is waiting for her and for the ambulance that will carry away her husband's body. An aneurysm had delivered the fatal blow, leaving Chrissy a thunderstruck widow at only 23. In a confusion of funeral planning and shopping for an appropriate black dress, there is plainly no question of wearing the diamonds. They remain in the fire safe, and Chrissy forgets about them, almost. In widowhood, Chrissy's child, barely able to crawl and pull himself erect, becomes the center of her life. When little Ralph was a newborn, she had not much interest in him, content to leave his care entirely in the hands of an experienced nanny. But now, alone and restricted by the propriety of grief, little Ralph is her solace. He is sweet-tempered, entertaining, and cute, as any animal cub is cute. Crystal's mother, Maureen, came from Florida for the funeral. She is an old friend of Ralph's. It was she who contrived his marriage to Crystal. "Adorable baby," says Maureen. "What sort of trust has his father arranged for him?" "I don't know, Mother. He's only an infant." In time, Crystal learns that the terms of the will are ample, but not nearly so ample as Crystal's mother had anticipated. Martin Means is one of many attorneys in a firm dedicated to the management of the Stonewell Trust. He had also been Ralph's personal attorney. Now, apparently, Means is Crystal's attorney, too. Means explains that her inheritance includes a monthly income reflecting her inherited interest in the Stonewell Trust. There is also a provision for her son's future education, all managed by the trust. "You also have a lifetime use of various properties and memberships owned by the trust. Of course, your joint bank accounts, both family cars, and title to the house with all of its contents, they're all your personal property." At this news, Crystal's mind goes straight to the diamonds. They are still in the fire safe. Justice Jewelers of Beverly Hills was closed for a week following Ralph's death. When it reopened, the assistant manager, also a Stonewell Trust heir, took over as manager. Crystal expected someone to call for the diamonds. No one has so far. Maybe no one will. Are they hers now? They were in the house when Ralph died, weren't they? Didn't that make them hers? She could ask Mr. Means about this, but she prefers not to. She is alone now, and her only real female confidant, is the cook, Philippa. Philippa is a small woman of 40 or so, with a slight accent. She cooks succulent meals, lavishes love upon little Ralph, and looks after Chrissy as if she were her own daughter. For these services she continues to receive a generous salary. She is always there, ready to take care of the baby when the nanny is out, and to listen with a sympathetic ear whenever Crystal needs one. Chrissy trusts Philippa more than anyone. She knows a few other women, relations of Ralph and the wives of Ralph's friends, who sometimes invite her to their homes on shopping expeditions and various entertainments where they go en masse, chatting and gossiping. Though she accepted their invitations, she sees that they arise out of a consideration for Ralph's widow and not out of any special liking for her. They are older than her, with children as old as she is. They mean to be kind, but Chrissy is sure that time will distance them further with Ralph gone. Now that little Ralph has become the focus of his mother's life, Chrissy seldom goes anywhere without him. There is not much for Donna, the nanny, to do besides laundry and watching television. Chrissy considers dismissing her, but she is afraid of not finding a replacement if she needs one. Donna lives in the house, apparently content with her slothful life and small salary. Though close to Crystal in age, Donna has no interest in becoming Chrissy's confidant. There is one contemporary, Brenda, who was a close friend before Crystal got married. Now Brenda, too, is married. She called Crystal a few days after Ralph's death. At last, though awkward around Christy's widowhood, she has come to visit Crystal. Reluctant at first to talk about anything beyond the progress of Little Ralph, the Emmy nominations, and fashion trends, soon the bonds of past intimacy triumph, and the conversation segues from the cost of everything these days to the personal and delicate topic of money. "So did he leave you much?" says Brenda bluntly. They both laugh. "I get a check every month, enough to pay the bills." Crystal does not mention the diamonds. "What about the house?" "Oh, I got the house all right," says Crystal. "I mean, do you own it? How much do you owe?" "Nothing, it's paid for. It took most of the insurance money, but we paid it off. Means he's my attorney, said that would be best." "Wow, this neighborhood must be worth more than $1 million, says Brenda. Chrissy shrugs. "Both cars are paid for, too." "Well, you did okay. Looks like you never have to worry if you're careful." "No, little Ralph's all set, too. But it's all in trust. I don't have hardly any spending money, I mean, I can't go on a cruise or put in a pool without borrowing. I don't even have a credit card. I always used Ralph's cards. I think I can borrow from the trust, but I never had to think about how to get money before. Now I think about it all the time, just to get by. I have to budget," says Chrissy with disdain. Brenda stares at her. She is a tall woman, slim and lithe, having studied ballet since she was 2. She has never known money worries herself and never expects to. She has a trust and has married well. "What do you mean you don't have a credit card?" says Brenda. "All you have to do is apply, Chrissy. No wonder you're worried about money." "I did," says Chrissy. "I applied for one. It hasn't come yet. I want to get out of town for a while, I certainly don't have enough cash to go anywhere." "You better get 4 or 5 cards. I have 7, but I only use 3. It helps me keep track of everything. So where do you want to go?" "I wanted to get on one of those cruise ships, but I don't want to leave little Ralph. I'd have to bring the nanny, so I'd need 2 cabins. No way I can pay for that up front, and I'd be stuck with that Donna for the whole cruise. No thanks. So then I thought I'd go down to Mexico. Ralph had a hacienda. It doesn't really belong to me, but I can use it whenever I want to, even live there. I've been there. It's really nice, but I can't travel alone with little Ralph, and I don't know my way around, and I don't speak Spanish. I could bring Felipa with me, and the nanny. I guess we could fly, but then we'd need a car to get from the airport to the hacienda. It's way out in the country. Maybe we could drive down, but without a credit card, I'd be at the mercy of tradespeople and money changers. I mean, how could we even buy gas? See, I've been feeling kind of depressed, I can't go out and party. My mother says I have to be a grieving widow for at least a year. Then find a new husband, pronto. She says the longer I wait, the harder it will be. Yeah, says Brenda, that's tough. At least in Mexico, you could let loose now and then. Nobody would know. She doesn't hear from the trust for 5 months. Then Martin Means shows up with the gift of a small blooming plant. He invites her to lunch, but instead she has Philippa prepare them a snack of smoked salmon and finger foods. "I'm so sorry to have to ask you about this, Chrissy," says Means, "but the trustees are concerned. They want me to find out where Mr. Stonewell put the diamonds." Chrissy knows, of course, that he means the Justice Diamonds, and she knows exactly where they are. But she says, "Diamonds?" with a puzzled look and a resolute attempt at nonchalance. "Why, the Justice Diamonds," says Means. Chrissy still looks puzzled, pushing her act well beyond credibility. After all, she wore the celebrated necklace in public, and her bejeweled image was in the local paper and all over the internet. Only in a coma could she have forgotten, and Means would have to be a complete fool to believe her. "The Justice Diamonds?" she says. Then, "Oh, yes, of course. I wore them to the wedding. I guess Ralph must have put them back in the vault." "Do you mean he took them back to the store the night before he died?" "I don't know," says Chrissy. "He must have." "Mrs. Stonewell," says Means, "the necklace is not in the store vault." "Really?" she says. She has made a blunder, but she just isn't sure what it was. She needs to think, possibly to consult someone, not Mr. Means. "Excuse me," she says. "I think I have the flu. Call me tomorrow." And she actually turns pale and runs from the room. When Means phones the following day, he is told that Crystal is not able to come to the phone. Her cell phone is turned off. Means will call back, of course. What will she tell him? She can simply say that she found the necklace in her fire safe. Ralphie must have put it there before he died. She or Means will return the necklace to the store, and that will be the end of it. But she does not want to do that. She is convinced that the diamonds belong to her, or at least that she might persuade others that they belong to her. Why should she give them back? She clenches her little hands, determined she will not give them back. These are her thoughts as she stands before her mirror in a silk peignoir with white camellias printed on it, her long dark hair brushed back, displaying the diamonds on her throat and breast, illumined only by the vanity light. Mesmerized, Crystal moves infinitesimally, watching her reflection. The Justice Diamonds transform the light into fiery bursts, flash, sparkle, dazzle. The centerpiece is a large pear-shaped diamond. Ralph told her that that one stone was worth millions just by itself. More than 70 lesser diamonds make up the rest of the necklace, clustered intricately above the central stone, tapering to a double row of baguettes on either side, and joined behind in a fiery clasp. Flash, sparkle, dazzle. Ephemeral rainbows flicker on her smooth skin. When the bedroom door opens, Crystal doesn't hear the latch. A shaft of light startles her, and she turns toward the open door. Philippa, too, is stunned. For a moment, the two women are frozen. "I knocked," says Philippa. "I'm sorry. I'll come back later. Her eyes fasten on the glittering necklace. It is so beautiful on you. Crystal, caught with the jewels around her neck and for a moment speechless, bursts into explanation. He gave it to me, she says quickly. Ralphie gave it to me before he died. It's the last thing he gave me. Tears suddenly spill down her cheeks. Philippa nods consolingly and holds her while she sobs. It's mine, says Crystal presently. It is mine. My husband gave it to me, and they want me to give it back. What shall I do? You don't think I should give it back, do you? Mr. Means, he asked me about the necklace, says Philippa. He asked you about the necklace? Says Crystal, recovering. What nerve! What did he say? He asked for you. I told him you couldn't come to the phone. Later, he came to the house. I told him you were asleep. Then he asked me if I ever saw the diamonds. Well, everybody has seen the necklace. It was all over the internet. I told him the only time I ever saw the diamonds was on the television. He left then, but he said you should call him when you wake up. The trust wants me to give them back, but it belongs to me, says Chrissy. Well, I guess if you have it, they can't do anything about it, can they? I don't know, says Chrissy. Chrissy returns the diamonds to the safe. Fierce determination rises like a tidal wave. She has the diamonds. Let them try to take it back. In the following days, letter after letter arrives from Mr. Means, and then registered letters from the trust, threats of court orders and searches. Chrissy replies to none, though each one raises a new wave of panic. Could they really do that to her? Come into her home and take her diamonds? She doesn't know. She shows the letter to no one, but confides in Philippa. What am I going to do? They say they can search the house for the diamonds. They say they can charge me with grand theft. Philippa says, I think you need your own lawyer. That's the best plan. Then you can just tell everything to him. He'll tell you what to do. That same day, an email from her mother arrives. Do you have your own attorney yet? You really need your own attorney, Chrissy. You can't rely on the trust attorney to represent your interests. An old friend of your father just moved to Marina del Rey. He's retired. You should call him. He used to work for a law firm that represented the Justice Jewelers on the East Coast, but that was years ago. I think he's still licensed in California. Robert Johnson is his name. So Chrissy phones Robert Johnson. She tells him about the threats, never admitting that she has the diamonds. Johnson is preoccupied with his golf game, but he promises to come to her home that evening for a consultation. Robert Johnson is only 5 feet 4 inches and portly, with a slightly receding hairline, but he is still impressively handsome and dapper. He has a thick, dark mustache and wears impeccable business attire. He looks exactly like the professional attorney Chrissy hopes to see. Johnson explains that he is officially retired, but he can represent Crystal's interests with respect to the Stonewell Trust. Happy to help, for the sake of your father and mother, he says. Good people. Chrissy is so relieved to have him on her side that she admits to having the diamonds and her fear that they will be taken from her. Chrissy, says Johnson, I'm familiar with that necklace. It belonged to the Stonewell Trust, not to your husband. Only the trust can decide what's to be done with it. Surely Ralph wouldn't have given it to you. He just borrowed it for an evening, that's all. You see, a valuable article like that, why, you would need proof of ownership. I doubt anyone in that organization could have paid market value for it. It would bring millions. If he meant it as a gift, he would have had papers that proved he owned it. Justice Jewelers would have a record of the transaction. He would have mentioned it in his will. I don't know about any of that, Chrissy interrupts. He only gave it to me the night before he died. He wouldn't have had time for all that paperwork. Willfully refusing to see the difficulty, she continues. He left me the house and all of its contents. Well, the diamonds were in the house when he died, so they must be mine. Where are they now? Asked Johnson, seeing no hope of getting her to see reason. I have them here in the house, locked up, she says. Oh, Crystal, that is very risky, he says. First thing tomorrow, find someone you trust to take you to your bank. Put the diamonds in a vault deposit box. If you don't have one, get one. Leave the necklace there until ownership is legally settled. Because, Crystal, if anything happens to those diamonds, the trust will certainly hold you accountable. If you can't produce them, they will call it grand larceny, a felony, Crystal. Understand? With wide, indignant eyes, Chrissy says, But they are my own property. How can they do that? Just put them in the bank, Crystal, in case they get a search warrant. Chrissy nods, seeing the wisdom of this. But after Johnson leaves, she wonders if a bank deposit box couldn't be searched just as well as her home could be, if it came to that. Meanwhile, Johnson set upon a mission to review her husband's will, insurance records, and all financial and material transactions connected with Crystal's and her son's inheritance. He has promised to make inquiries about ownership of the necklace, but was not at all encouraging as to her right to keep it. Crystal made Johnson promise not to tell anyone she has it or where it is. So far, she has not admitted to the trust attorneys that she has the necklace. They are not fooled, of course, because unless stolen, where else could it be? It occurs to Chrissy that if the diamonds were stolen, then no one would bother her about them any more. Probably insurance would pay for them, but then, of course, wearing them would be out of the question. You should wear your diamonds to the opera. Lyman Noble is also an attorney. He's only a few years older than Crystal, 6 feet tall, longish blonde hair, and undeniable personal charm. They meet when Brenda invites Crystal to round out an even number of men and women at a small outdoor party. It is the first time Crystal's been to a mixed party since Ralph's death. He's cute, don't you think? Brenda says. Crystal thinks so. She is, in fact, outrageously attracted to the young man and wonders if it is still too soon to think of dating. Certainly not too soon to think of a marriage opportunity, she decides. Everyone expects her to marry again, but she has to watch out for fortune hunters, as she has been warned by practically everyone she knows. Lyman Noble brings her drinks and fetches her dinner plate. He listens to amusing little stories about her son with the attentiveness of a doting grandparent. He says he's fond of live theater and opera, and would she like to go with him sometime? She would. Liquor and l'amour combine to loosen her lips, and Crystal confides to her new friend her concerns about her diamonds, which are still locked in the fire safe at home. "You should wear the diamonds to the opera when we go," says Lyman. "Really?" says Chrissy. "I don't see why not," says he. "Because the trust attorneys don't know for sure that I have them. And if I wear them, then they might find out." "So," says Lyman, "aren't they yours?" "Of course they are mine," says Crystal. "I imagine they look beautiful on you," says Lyman. "Don't you see? If they really are yours, you can wear them whenever you want to. Wearing them in public supports your conviction that the diamonds belong to you." Crystal has time to think about this. The opera is almost a month away. She looks up Lyman Noble on the internet and makes a few discreet inquiries about him. He is certainly an attorney, and he works for a small Los Angeles firm, as he told her. Ralph and his friends would call him a do-gooder, taking up class action and civil rights cases, often on contingency and sometimes pro bono. Crystal decides his apparent lack of resources classifies him as a potential fortune hunter. So far, though, he has only invited her to La Boheme. Though not extravagant, Crystal struggles with finances. Her bills persistently exceed her income. Her checking account keeps shrinking. She's determined not to use the American Express card unless she has to. But then her monthly trust check fails to arrive. Instead of calling the trust attorney, Means, she calls her own attorney, Johnson. A few days later, Johnson shows up with a bouquet of fragrant lilies and a check from the Stonewell Trust. A check several times larger than her usual allotment. "Means probably meant for you to get in touch with him when your monthly deposit didn't show up," says Johnson. "A bit of extortion, that. Withholding your money to pressure you into... By the way, Crystal, did you put those diamonds in the bank?" "Not yet," says Crystal. "I'm afraid if the trust gets a court order, they'll take them." "If you keep them in the house, it's the first place they'll search. Besides, the diamonds are not safe here. You need to put them in the bank, Crystal. Now. It's for your protection. Would you feel better if I held them? I can put them in my bank." "What's all this for?" says Crystal, evading his suggestion and eyeing the amount of the check. "Why, Means has been holding back part of your monthly income right from the start. He's been putting 2/3 of it into an escrow account for you, so he says. He admits you never authorized that. In any case, the check includes this month's payment plus all the funds he held back. You'll be getting the full amount from now on." "But why did he do that?" says Crystal. "Why? Good question. He said if you were to mismanage and have money troubles, the funds would be available to bail you out. I guess he thinks you're a child." It's true, of course, she is in trouble, but this big infusion of cash will more than cover it. But then, if she'd been getting all the money she was supposed to, would she be in trouble now? She doesn't think so. Anyway, there's enough here to fix the immediate problems and start a little savings plan so she can have a few luxuries later on. She does not like worrying about money. She likes to have plenty of it and to have fun spending it, but the business of managing finances, she can do without that. If she remarries, she will leave behind the management of finances. But for now, well, she can do what has to be done. And now there is enough money to do it. Johnson is given refreshment, stays a little longer than necessary, and presses her hand warmly before he goes. He likes me, she thinks, and wonders if he might be her next husband. She likes his paternal manner, paternal yet respectful, not reducing her to a foolish girl child. He's retired now, but he worked for a prestigious firm for many years. He must be well off. He's older than Crystal, much, older even than Ralph was. The age difference had been no problem for her and Ralph, no reason it should be a problem now. Johnson's lilies scent the room with sticky sweetness. Handsome Lyman phones often, takes her once to dinner, and visits her at home twice. He likes her too, and she likes him a little bit too much. She does not view him as a marriage candidate. He just doesn't have enough money, but he is handsome and fun. She feels light-hearted and light-headed when he's around. She hopes he will try to sleep with her. She ought not, but she might anyway. He's irresistible, but so far he has been a perfect gentleman. Setting her to wonder, is he gay? Maybe he's only interested in her wealth. Not that she is so very wealthy, but she does have an impressive home, her own income, and, oh yes, by the way, several million in diamonds. She smiles at this thought. When her money concerns had been acute, Crystal had taken the necklace to a jeweler in the valley to have it appraised. He could not set a precise value on it. "If you wanted to convert this to cash," he told her, "I can probably find a dealer to handle it. All I can tell you is that the stones are quite real, quite superior, and well beyond the reach of the average dealer. It's a very old piece, but the craftsmanship is uncommon. It could almost be a museum piece. Putting it up for auction would be the best way to find out the real price. Why don't you do that?" "I can't," she told him candidly. "My husband gave them to me, but the trust is trying to take them. A public auction is impossible, at least until it's settled, for once and for all. But they are mine, and I will sell them if I have to." The jeweler gave her his card and said he would be in touch when he found the right dealer. But Crystal does not want to sell the necklace. She loves it too much. She means to keep it and to be seen with the diamonds around her neck. And so when Lyman Noble arrives to take her to the opera, she is wearing a new velvet dress cut low enough to show off the Eustice Diamonds. Crystal and Lyman share a box with a relative of his, Aunt Beatrice. Many eyes and opera glasses turn toward the flashing diamonds. She feels like a celebrity. Afterward, Aunt Beatrice treats them to dessert at a smart cafe. When they arrive, 7 or 8 couples are waiting to be seated, but they are shown a table at once. Who is Aunt Beatrice, anyway? Beatrice is a shameless matchmaker, and has apparently fixed upon Crystal as a promising candidate for her nephew. "Lyman, you and Crystal do make a charming couple," she says several times. "It's a shame for such a pretty woman to be widowed so young. Let's hope you find another love before you lose your youth." The compliment falls among the flashing jewels on Crystal's breast. Staring eyes, Crystal notices, have followed them from the opera. Only their faces have changed. Beatrice turns her attention to the crowded room, smiling and waving coquettishly. Now and then she pats Crystal's bare arm affectionately. Under her bravado and artful makeup, Aunt Beatrice must be in her 70s. Crystal decides she is certainly a woman of means. Apparently there is wealth somewhere in the Noble family. A limousine has been taken for the evening, clearly at Beatrice's expense. When they arrive at Crystal's home, Beatrice directs the chauffeur to see Crystal and her necklace safely inside. Then they drive away, to Crystal's disappointment. She had imagined a seduction, but that opportunity vanished with the limo. Damn! In the morning, Crystal texts Brenda. "You are a good detective. What else can you find out about Lyman Noble?" Brenda texts back, "You must really be interested, LOL. See what I can do. Can you come for lunch?" With her boy child dressed like an ad for toddler fashion, in his little man's suit, and herself in flowing culottes from the day before her pregnancy, she drives the sedan to Brenda's house. They embrace, and Brenda says, "Glad you came. We used to have so much fun. I suppose it will never be like it used to be, now that you have this baby love to fill up your time." Brenda gathers little Ralph in for a hug. He hugs back, giggling. Brenda is childless so far, but probably not for long. They lunch on plates of unidentifiable seafood hors d'oeuvres, leftovers from a recent gathering, and assorted munchies. "Rainbow sherbet for dessert," Brenda promises. They eat at the breakfast bar with little Ralph perched on the counter. Crystal waits impatiently through social chat, trusting Brenda to finally steer the conversation to the topic that brought her here. And halfway through lunch she does. "Such a beautiful boy, and so quiet. You won't have any trouble finding a daddy for him," she says. "You already have your eye on Lyman Noble, right?" "Oh, not exactly. I was just wondering," says Crystal. "I met his rich Aunt Beatrice last night, and she liked me. I think she did." "Oh, yeah. La Boheme. Did you see your pictures on the web, on LA Town? You and those diamonds. They said you were accompanied by Beatrice Noble and an unknown escort. Not you accompanied them, but they accompanied you." "Tell me you're kidding," says Crystal. "No," says Brenda. "Take a look." She flips open a MacBook and passes it to Crystal. Sure enough, there she is, looking tense and thoroughly outshone by the opulent gems. It is only a short video clip taken at the music center, probably from someone's phone, but a close-up leaves no doubt that these are the Eustice Diamonds, and no doubt whatsoever who is wearing them. Stunned, Crystal loses her balance on the counter stool. Of course this would happen. What a fool she was. She should never have taken them out of the fire safe, never have worn them in public. Why, the sheriff might be at her house right now with a search warrant. Why had she listened to Lyman? He might be an attorney, but he evidently had no understanding of her situation. Brenda, oblivious to Crystal's distress, and with a certain pride of accomplishment, begins to deliver her intel. "Okay, well, you are right about the aunt. Tons of old money, big mansion in Pasadena. She's a philanthropist. Her name's on all kinds of endowments. She is Lyman's father's sister. Lyman's father is dead. He must have left everything to his mother. She doles it out, tries to control the whole family. She paid for Lyman's law school, but she doesn't like him doing all that class action pro bono stuff. Definitely does not like that low-rent partnership he works for. She expected him to get on with a prestigious firm, marry the right woman. You know the drill. Probably expected him to become a CEO, maybe a president someday. She cut off his allowance, so he has to make it on his own. And he does, I guess. But he's not as well off as he should be. He drives an old Volvo. And that's about it. He never married, never divorced, no known children, no trouble of any kind. Maybe his aunt took him up because she felt sorry for him, or maybe she likes him because he's a do-gooder. Anyway, Crystal, you are not looking so good. You're white as paper. Are you okay? Crystal nods. I'm okay. I just felt dizzy for a minute. Maybe I'm hungover from last night. Not preggers again, are you? Says Brenda with a wink. No, how could I be? I don't know, the usual way. If you can make them as good as that, says Brenda, grinning at little Ralph, might as well make as many as you can. Last night was the first time I've been on a date since... Crystal interrupts herself with a sob. Okay, Chrissy, I know. I'm sorry. Only messing with you, girlfriend. And some date, sniffs Crystal. The aunt was with us every single minute. Just one more thing you need to know about Lyman, says Brenda. There's a rumor, and I don't know if it's true or what, but he might be engaged. Engaged? But he would tell me, wouldn't he? I mean, everyone would know if he was engaged, wouldn't they? Maybe that's all it is. Just a rumor, but I thought you should know. All you have to do is ask him. But Crystal's most urgent concern in this moment is the fate of the Eustice Diamonds. At home, she discovers that Means has phoned several times. On her cell phone, which she had turned off, she finds 3 voice messages, one from Means, one from Lyman, and one from Johnson. She plays Lyman's message first. He tells her how much he enjoyed their evening at the opera, etc. And by the way, sorry for all the trouble I caused by encouraging you to wear the diamonds. Trouble? What trouble? I can't help but blame myself, Chrissy. I didn't realize. Maybe you should give them back. I know it's hard, but it might be for the best. I'm going to be out of town for a while. Remember, I told you some of my school buds are going on a fishing trip? Well, that's not for 2 weeks, but I'm heading out early to follow up on an immigration case. I'm flying to Mexico tonight. I'll phone you after I get there. Fishing trip? He did say he and his friends were going to Puerto Vallarta. He said he always dreamed of snagging a marlin or something like that. But what did he mean by trouble? Chrissy hurries to the family room where, as usual, the TV is playing. What's going on, Philippa? Is there some trouble? Philippa presses buttons on the remote. You haven't heard? It's on the news. I recorded it, but they play it every time the news comes on. I thought you already saw it, she says. Crystal suddenly sees herself on the 60-inch screen, her and her diamonds. A news anchor interrupts the video. There they are, the magnificent Eustice Diamonds, casually showing up at Café République as if they were not worth upward of $40 million. What a sight! Eustice Jewelers, who owns the treasure, has reported them missing. The lady wearing them is Crystal Stonewell. The necklace was last seen in May when Ms. Stonewell wore them to a wedding reception for the Prince of Trueland. Lloyd's of London, who insures the stones, launched an investigation. If the heirloom hadn't turned up, it would have been the biggest jewel theft in this century. The final clip shows Crystal eating a chocolate souffle so delicious she can still taste it and almost feels the gems sparkling at her throat with every swallow. Seeing Crystal grow pale, Philippa helps her sit down and brings water. Crystal sips the water and frantically pulls up the voice message from Means. Mrs. Stonewell, your picture is all over the news. The insurance company knows you have the diamonds. You must give them back. Let me come and get them. No one will press charges against you. We'll make sure that the local news channel apologizes. We will simply say that you didn't know where the necklace was and only recently found it. Then you wore it for one last time in memory of your husband before returning it. That will be all right, won't it? I got them to hold off until we hear from you. I did that to protect you. Now, if there's any more trouble about this, they'll blame me. Just let me return the necklace. It will be good for us both. Don't you see? Please call me as soon as you get this. She and Philippa listen to this message together. Chrissy has the look of a cornered pygmy rabbit. Philippa just shakes her head. What shall I do, Philippa? They will take my diamonds, maybe put me in jail. Don't let them, says Philippa. Listlessly, Chrissy plays the last voice message, the one from Johnson. Where are the diamonds, Crystal? I believe the insurance attorneys are at the courthouse right now, getting a court order for the diamonds. They will search your home. Everyone knows you have them. You've got to give them back, or else let me take them. This is serious. Look at the news if you don't believe me. Call me. Everyone wants her to hand over the diamonds. Who can she really trust with gems as valuable as that? Tears fill Chrissy's eyes. What can I do? Shortly after sunset, a major SUV, a late model BMW X5, rolls down the driveway. Inside are Crystal, baby Ralph, the cook Philippa, the nanny Donna, and Jose, gardener, and uncle to Philippa. In addition to their luggage, crammed in back, an 85-pound fire safe is wedged on the floorboards behind the front seat and in front of the baby's travel carrier. At last, after hours of desperate strategizing, they are underway. At the bottom of the driveway, a parked Lincoln Continental blocks their exit. A shadowy form approaches the driver's door. Jose, seated behind the wheel, switches on a spotlight to reveal a man in a business suit blinking in the sudden light. Crystal rolls down the window behind Jose. Means, what are you doing here, Means? Crystal demands. Means says, I've come for the diamonds. Too bad, snaps Crystal. My attorney told me to put them in a safe deposit box. Chrissy tightens her jaw. Trembling, she adjusts the blanket spread over the seat, hiding the fire safe. That was good advice, says Means. That's where they need to stay until we go to court. Then the judge can issue an order for them. At least in the bank, they'll be safe. Where are you off to? He eyes the crowded interior of the SUV. A party. Philippa's sister is having a birthday party for her granddaughter, says Crystal, thinking fast. The sister exists, but the granddaughter and the party do not. "You know, Mrs. Stonewell, you have to give them back. Turn them over to me now. That will avoid any more grief for both of us. Be reasonable, please," says Means. "They are my property, and I have no intention of turning them over to anyone," says Crystal. "Now please leave, and have your driver move that car. You are blocking our way. We'll be late." They wait in silence, barely breathing, as Means climbs into the Lincoln. The engine starts, but the big car doesn't move right away. Each passing second convinces Chrissy and me that Means has called the police and will block the driveway until they arrive. Then the police will force them out of the car and find the fire safe, confiscate it, and Chrissy will never see her diamonds again. At last, the Lincoln pulls away and rolls out of sight. And they are on their way to Mexico. The plan is to cross the border and spend the night in Tijuana. But it is a 3-hour drive, and traffic is unusually heavy for the late hour. Then they have to sit at a dead stop for 45 minutes due to night road work while heavy equipment rumbles past. Crystal fidgets and yawns. Donna yawns with a loud groan. Jose drums anxious fingers on the steering wheel. The air is charged with the nervous energy of fugitives delayed in their flight. Only little Ralph is at peace, snoring delicately in his travel seat between Crystal and the nanny. "Maybe we should wait and cross the border in the morning," says Philippa, "when we aren't so tired." "Yeah," says Donna, "I'm tired. There's a hotel in Chula Vista we can stay at." "Where's that?" says Jose. "I'll tell you where to turn. It's just off the freeway. Less than half an hour to the border. It has a swimming pool and a spa and everything. Free breakfast. Cheap, too." "How do you know it?" asks Philippa. "I stayed there before. My brother, he works there. I have their number. Want me to call?" "Okay," says Crystal, "but we have to get out of there early." They check in at the Chula Vista Comfort Zone. It's an older hotel, a bit run down, but with lots of amenities and extra large rooms. Philippa shares a double room with her uncle. Crystal shares a suite with Donna, each in her own bedroom. A crib is set up on one side of Crystal's bed, and the fire safe, hauled in by Jose on a luggage trolley, is on the other side. "We have a safe in the office, Senora," says the desk clerk. But Crystal prefers to keep the diamonds close to her. The safe, heavy as it is, seems the safest way to do that. She hears Donna talking with animation on the phone in her room. The last thing she hears is Donna's door closing. Donna, she assumes, is going to the spa. Fine, just as long as she's ready to go in the morning. They eat a hasty breakfast of pre-scrambled eggs and waffles. Crystal keeps an eye on the SUV. Jose has locked the luggage and the safe inside and parked it in view of the breakfast room. Crystal keeps all their passports in a locking travel case, along with her new credit card, her makeup, and her other jewelry. The Eustice Diamonds stay in the fire safe as before. Crossing into Mexico with a luxury car and valid passports, even one for little Ralph, takes only minutes. No uncomfortable questions, no dreaded luggage searches. They are 2 more full days on the road, taking turns at the wheel. Night has fallen when they reach Puerto Vallarta, where they spend the night in a roadside hotel. The relentless sound of reveling tourists persists far into the night. Lyman Noble has phoned Crystal as promised, but she missed the call. She had to get a second phone for Mexico. "Hi, Chrissy. Sorry I missed you. I'll call back soon," was all the voicemail said. He must be in Puerto Vallarta right now, but it is too late to call him, and Chrissy is too tired. They fall into exhausted sleep, waking early to a quiet morning. They buy breakfast to eat on the road. The SUV rolls again, leaving the highway for a paved but heavily potholed road that winds into the wild beauty of the Sierra Madre Mountains. At last they turn into a narrow drive and jounce over cobblestones and gravel for another kilometer or so. The Stonewell Hacienda perches on a steep hillside. The nearest town is San Sebastian del Oeste. The home is a sprawling adobe structure with a flat-tiled roof and trailing bougainvillea vines. It is nearly hidden from the narrow road by cypress trees. A tangle of untamed shrubs and colored blossoms fill the yard, and rangy poinsettia trees assert themselves in brilliant flaming starbursts. "Buenos tardes, Señora Stonewell," the housekeeper calls from the shady veranda. Señora Dolorosa looks about 50. She wears a cotton dress. Her streaked gray hair is braided around her head and held in place with tortoiseshell combs. Inside, the rooms are cool and smell of roses, fresh coffee, and baking cinnamon. 4 of the 6 bedrooms have been made ready for them. "He traído una cuna para el bebé," says Dolorosa. "Gracias, señora," says Felipa. "They got a bed for the baby," Felipa tells Crystal, and indeed a crib has been set up in the master bedroom, where Jose is already unloading the fire safe onto the floor of a large cedar closet. Mexican time passes slowly when you are a visitor in a tiny village from another era. Crystal breathes easily for the first time in months. Señora Dolorosa puts Jose to work in the garden. Dolorosa and Felipa spend hours in conversation, trading recipes and gossiping about who can guess what. They speak in rapid Spanish. Crystal understands nothing. Each day, Crystal bathes her baby, dresses him, and takes him for a drive in the unfamiliar countryside. Sometimes Donna comes along. "I wish they had something to do here," says Donna. "The TV's all in Spanish except for news. There's no movies, no nightlife, nothing. What do these people do with themselves?" "Look at the mine, Raffi," coos Crystal to her son. They stop to examine the ruins of a defunct silver mine. Rotted timbers, a faded sign nailed to a crossboard, "Prohibido el paso," Even here, poinsettias flourish, their brilliant crimson leaves displayed like carnival flags in a blue sky. "What is this place?" says Donna. "A silver mine." Crystal consults a tattered guidebook. "Mina Bautista del Oeste. They say it used to produce a ton of silver a day. Been closed since 1910, though," says Crystal. Donna yawns audibly. Every day a new exploration. They discover small, isolated factories where whole families manufacture candles, pottery, furniture, or textiles. Old women bake tortillas, bottle honey, and put up canned vegetables and fruits. Chrissy often buys treats to take home, hoping in her foreign money ignorance that they don't cheat her. But what does it matter if they do? Sometimes they see animals, donkeys, cattle, pigs, or chickens, roaming unfenced grazing lands, leisurely crossing the road at will or sleeping in it. Plaza Revolucion is a pristine commons in the heart of town. San Sebastian del Oeste evokes an uncomplicated time past. With its whitewashed architecture, cobblestone streets, sun-bronze roof tiles, and flowering gardens. And the historic church. The Templo San Sebastian del Oeste rises whitely above the town, its dome crowned with sky-blue tiles. Inside, the traditional cruciform chamber is cool and dim with a narrow, high-vaulted nave. Donna squints at the Baroque statues and framed pictures. "This is weird. Mexican churches are weird." "It's a Catholic church," says Crystal. "Most of them are like this, the older ones anyway." "Not the ones I've seen," says Donna. Crystal resolves that Donna will not be with her the next time she visits here. Set upon his feet and free for a moment, little Ralph runs down the center aisle, his laughter ringing off the high walls. Both women hurry after him. With a final chortle, he flings himself at the communion rail, his chubby hands holding fast. When she raises him in her arms, Crystal notices a black-coated priest who has materialized in the chancel. Embarrassed, she says, "Shh! Raffi, we are in church." Her boy hugs her, and the priest smiles benignly. Behind him, a suffering Jesus looks at the ground, evidently embarrassed for her. At last Lyman phones. "Sorry I took so long to get back to you. I've been to the magistrate in Mazatlan," he says. "I'm trying to help a client bring his wife into the country. The State Department said she had a warrant in Mexico, but that woman was somebody else, mistaken identity. Hopefully that's on the way to being straightened out. Anyway, it's out of my hands now. I have a few more days before my buddies arrive for the big fishing trip. Think I'll just hang here in Puerto Vallarta. This is a beautiful place. Wish you could be here. And how is everything in Rancho PV?" "I don't know," says Crystal. "I'm here in Mexico. I'm in San Sebastian. It's only a couple hours from Puerto Vallarta." Lyman Noble arrives the following morning, and Crystal shows him around the charming town. They have lunch at one of the touristy restaurants. Senora de la Rosa makes up a room for him, and he stays for 4 days, rising before dawn on the 5th day to be on time for his fishing party. Crystal's infatuation is full-blown. Though nothing beyond a few affectionate hugs and a parting, cousinly kiss has passed between them, she is certain that her feelings for the handsome lawyer are returned. So what if he has no money? She has enough. Besides, his aunt is rich. That must surely translate into something eventually, and in time he is bound to become a successful and highly paid attorney. Lyman obviously adores her son, always insisting they bring the child along on their daily excursions. At the hacienda, he plays catch with him or chases him on all fours like a big dog, and he talks to him as if he were a person, not a plaything. How perfect! Ralphie needs a man in his life, a role model, a dad. Everything is going to be wonderful. The elation she feels, the anticipation, the hopes, are marred by a nagging detail. She never got around to asking him, is he engaged to someone else? But how can that be? He is too honorable to take on as he did with her and her son, if that were the case. And with this logic, she brushes aside the troublesome issue. The day after Lyman leaves, Crystal tells Donna to stay behind when she goes for her daily outing. The girl is sulking because she's been left behind for the last 3 days. "I know you're tired of Mexico," says Crystal. "If you like, you can fly back tomorrow. I think that can be arranged. If not tomorrow, then a day or two." "No," says Donna, "I'm okay. You'll probably need me on the drive home. Do you know when we're going back yet?" Crystal does not know. She loves the little town. Certainly, no one has bothered her about the diamonds since she got here. She keeps them now in a velvet pouch locked in the safe, but sometimes at night she holds them up to her bare skin, letting them hypnotize her with their flash, sparkle, dazzle. No one knows where she is, only her mother, Johnson, her attorney, and of course Lyman. She resisted the urge to swear Lyman to silence. He doesn't know why she came to Mexico, not the real reason, and she did not want to tell him why. Besides, who would ask him where she was? Here she has peace. She can stay as long as she wants. However, if she wants to pursue her budding relationship with Lyman Noble, she can't stay here. She must go back. Her mother, she knows, would have told her to stay right where she was. "A man only appreciates what he is forced to pursue," she would say. One night, unable to sleep, with thoughts of Lyman chasing around in her head, she finds herself on the dark veranda. There is no moon, but somehow the colored blossoms in the garden have taken on a faint glow. Heedless of possible snakes and scorpions she's been warned of, she pads barefoot into the garden, surrounded by a fragrant, shimmering mist. There is no sound. Absolute silence. Raising her eyes, she is stunned to see a band of starlight arching overhead like layers of cobwebs or transparent tissue paper. The Milky Way. She has never seen it before, but she knows. It is the galaxy, the edge of a universe of stars. Here and there, an extra bright star shines or twinkles, like her diamonds. So many of them. They have been there forever. An infinite sea of them, living their amazing lives, until now, never dreamed of by her. How small and insignificant the Eustice Diamonds seem by comparison. How long she stood there she cannot say. She only remembers the perfume of those midnight flowers and her astonishment at the panoramic progression of starlight. She wakes up late to the giggles of her little boy playing with Donna. She knows she must return to Rancho Palos Verdes. But first, she has an errand to complete, and she takes little Ralph back to the church. "Buenos dias, senora," says the priest. Crystal smiles at him. "Buenos dias, Padre." "You have been here before, you and your son?" he says in English. "See? I mean, yes," says Crystal, confused. "It's a beautiful church." "What parish are you from?" "I went to Immaculate Heart in Los Angeles," says Crystal. She did attend Immaculate Heart High School, where she distinguished herself in track and girls' baseball, but she has not practiced her faith since then. The priest nods. He is attractive, probably not from here. He is taller than the locals, and his English is barely accented. His demeanor is kindly, to put her at ease, but she feels intimidated all the same. "I'm Father Armando," he says, "and you are—" "I'm Crystal, and this is little Ralph." She tours the church again, yielding to an impulse to dip her fingers into the holy water. Near the front of the church, she takes a seat, placing little Ralph beside her. For the moment, the boy is preoccupied with a colorful brochure. Impulsively, Crystal kneels, recites rote prayers from a fading repertoire, and whispers a private message to whatever gods may be listening. "I'm so grateful," she says, "to be in this beautiful town, in this beautiful church, so grateful that I am safe and my diamonds are safe, and thank you for bringing Lyman into my life. My cup runneth over. Amen." A week passes. She hasn't left San Sebastian, and she hasn't heard from Lyman. Crystal answers no phone calls, but she checks each rare call to see if it is Lyman. Her mother leaves voicemail to say that she is going on a sailing adventure in the Caribbean. "Don't be foolish about the Eustice Diamonds, Crystal," says her mother. Johnson also leaves voicemail. "Crystal, the sheriff took a warrant to your bank. You never even got a vault deposit box, did you? Stonewells and Lloyds believe that you have either sold the diamonds or taken them out of the country. What else can they think? You must bring this to an end. You can let me hold the diamonds until we go to court, if that makes you feel better. But I'm telling you, you don't stand a chance of keeping them. The sooner you give them back, the better." "It's mine. I won't give it back," thinks Crystal. "If Johnson can't handle this, I'll find me an attorney who can." Johnson's message continues. "Means intends to file a missing person report for you and the baby. That's absurd, of course, because both your mother and I have been in touch with you. But they'll try to get the Mexican authorities to search the hacienda. The paperwork could take years, but it might not." Another week passes. Still no word from Lyman. At last she phones him. Surely all his fishing excursions are over with. He must be back in L.A. by now. Her call goes to his voicemail. She leaves no message. For the season of Las Posadas, Felipa and De La Rosa deck the hacienda in garlands and lights and a big Christmas tree. Shiny gifts pile up underneath. Still no word from Lyman. What's wrong? Chrissy cannot imagine. But something must have happened. Senora De La Rosa invites Crystal to midnight mass on Christmas Eve. The choir, the pageantry, the incense, the heaps of red flowers work their intended magic. On Christmas Day, Crystal resolves to ask the English-speaking priest to baptize little Ralph. Maybe if she placates God and the saints, everything will come out all right after all. "Your boy is not baptized?" says the priest. "Not yet," says Chrissy. "Sure, we can do that. Have you found godparents yet?" She hasn't, but Jose is a practicing Catholic, and so is Senora De La Rosa. Surely they will be glad to do it. This priest is her friend. She feels so comfortable with him. He calls her Chrissy, as if he's known her always. "Well, fine then. Now, what about little Ralph's mother?" "What do you mean?" says Crystal. "You know, baptism is not the end, it is the beginning," says the priest. "Little Ralph, he needs a mother strong in the faith if he is to become a good Catholic." "When was your last confession?" Crystal cannot remember. She was married in a church, but it was a Methodist church or something like that. Confession was not a requirement. "Shall we take care of that today?" says the priest. She and the priest face each other on opposite sides of an opaque screen inside the confessional. "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned," she begins. Crystal has little to confess. She has been a dutiful wife and mother. Her worst transgressions are failure to attend Mass for many years and not being married in a Catholic church. "And is this all you have to confess?" asks the priest. "Yes, Father," says Crystal, expecting the next question to be, "And for these sins are you heartily sorry," etc. But instead she hears, "What about the diamonds, Chrissy?" Chrissy gasps. How could he know about the diamonds? Before she can stop herself, she almost shouts, "The diamonds are mine! My husband gave them to me!" Then in a whisper, "How did you find out?" "Does it matter how I know? The whole world knows. It has been in the news. It is on the internet. It is no secret, Chrissy. You have taken what was not given. It is clear your husband only meant for you to wear them for one night. He would have returned them if death had not interfered. Don't you see how you dishonor this good man? When you say he gave you the diamonds to you, you make him look like a thief." Crystal's convulsive sobs echo in the empty church. On Sunday, Crystal's son receives the sacrament of baptism, and on Monday, the SUV rolls away from the hacienda for the last time. Crystal has given her word to Robert Johnson that the diamonds are safely on their way back to Los Angeles. Then she will give them to him to be placed in a bank vault under an escrow account from which only a court order can remove them. On the long drive back, Crystal's mind churns with plans to retain possession of the diamonds, but none seem feasible. Their last night on the road, they again register at the Comfort Zone in Chula Vista. Once more, Crystal and Donna share a two-bedroom suite. The baby sleeps in a crib in Crystal's room. This time, Philippa and her uncle have the two-bedroom suite across the hall. Tomorrow, they plan on a late start after a leisurely breakfast and a swim. Crystal imagines her son splashing in the pool, perhaps swimming like those infant water babies. No phone chatter from Donna's room this time. She must be very tired. The sound of a vacuum cleaner awakens Crystal. It is impossibly loud, as if the hall right outside her room is being cleaned, with her door standing open. She opens her eyes to see that the door is indeed wide open. She glances at the spot where Jose placed the safe, and horror of horrors, there is nothing to be seen. She rubs her eyes and stares at the impossible. The safe is gone. Her scream rings through the halls of the hotel. Doors swing open. Donna stares at her from their adjoining door. Philippa and Jose appear in the hall. "It's gone! My safe is gone!" screams Crystal. "Did you move it, Jose?" No, ma'am," says Jose. "Not without you." He has moved the safe several times on this trip, but never without Crystal's express direction and oversight. Crystal turns wild eyes from Philippa to Donna. Dumbfounded, both women stare back, shaking their heads. Jose is talking on a cell phone. "The police are coming," he says. At this, Crystal drops backward onto her bed as if in a swoon. To Philippa, she says, "Please talk to the police. I just can't face them right now. Okay? They must start searching right away. Whoever took the safe, every minute counts. You can tell the police about the diamonds. It's all right. My attorney knows I'm bringing them back. Just give me time to get control of myself before I see them." Philippa brings ice water and aspirin. Jose waits for the police in front of the hotel. Everyone seems to be in shock. Everyone except Donna, as usual, calm and a bit detached. "Probably on depressants," Crystal used to think. Donna takes little Ralph out of the room. "I'll make sure he gets breakfast. Then we'll go down to the pool. If the police want to search my things, they can. It's all right." The police arrive, 3 carloads of them altogether. Once Philippa makes them understand, they launch a search of all the rooms on that floor, including the linen room and the supply closet. The searches take little time because the fire safe is too large to hide between mattresses, for example. The last room is Crystal's. She is fully dressed and made up by now. "The Eustice Diamonds are in the safe. Have you heard of them? The necklace is famous," says Crystal to the detective apparently in charge. "We know about the necklace," he says. "Wasn't that already reported stolen?" "The necklace was not stolen," says Crystal. "We took the diamonds with us for safekeeping on our trip to Mexico. I was taking them to my attorney to hold them until the court settles ownership." "Worth quite a bit, are they?" says the lead detective. He's voluminously overweight and balding. "Yes," says Crystal, "they are." "Well, how much?" I can't exactly say, says Crystal. My jeweler told me they would have to be sold at auction to determine their true market value. Ballpark, says the detective. How much do you think they're worth? Oh, I don't know, says Crystal, tearing up. They mean a lot to me because my husband gave them to me. You must have some idea. No, I don't. But the diamonds, sold independently, might bring 30 million. Of course, the necklace is historic and a notable work of art in its own right. So, the detective whistles. Someone has put a cup of coffee in Crystal's hand. She sips it cautiously. Where's your baby? Asked the detective, nodding toward the crib. He's with the nanny. She took him to the pool, I think. That's her room. You've already looked in there. Each of the adults, including Donna, are questioned at least twice by different detectives. Crystal tells the front desk that they may extend their stay for one more night. They should stick around in case the police get the diamonds back. Later, the detective calls them all together in a conference room. Don't get your hopes up, he says. We don't have any leads. No idea how the thieves got in unless you left your door unlocked. I did not, says Crystal. It is not possible to leave a door unlocked in that hotel because they lock automatically when closed. In addition to an electronic card lock, every door has a mechanical safety lock that can only be closed or opened from inside the room. Crystal is certain that both were locked. The thief may have gotten hold of a master key card, says the detective. Anyway, once they got the safe out of the hotel, the smart thing would be to take it across the border into Mexico, just like you did, Ms. Stonewell. That would be the smart thing. His cell rings and he takes the call, listens, grunts, and hangs up. Found the safe, he says. I guess it must be yours, busted open, no diamonds, of course. One of several special duty cruisers had found the safe lying on an embankment under a freeway overpass 2 blocks from the hotel. They must have broken it open right there, says the detective. Crystal and Jose ride with them in the police car to the location. Probably didn't want to travel with that thing. Too heavy, too noticeable. Guess they just took the diamonds and ran. Crystal and Jose identify the safe. Any other valuables in that safe? Cash maybe? Other jewels? Asked the detective. No, says Crystal, I don't think so. We have to take the safe in evidence, the detective tells her. With the diamonds definitely gone, Crystal decides to push on for home. By the time they arrive in Rancho Palos Verdes, news of the theft is widespread. Crystal has phoned only Robert Johnson, but the story is on TV, radio, and the internet. According to the news, the Chula Vista Police, the California Highway Patrol, Lloyd's of London detectives, and even the FBI are searching for the missing diamonds. They say an international diamond cartel probably has them by now, because no ordinary fence could dispose of the celebrated necklace. If not recovered, it will almost certainly be disassembled, the larger diamonds cut into smaller stones and dumped onto international markets in Belgium or in China. The robbery itself must have been the work of highly skilled professional thieves, maybe with the aid of some naive hotel employee. The jewel theft of the century. Just before bedtime, Crystal receives a call from Brenda. "I'm so sorry," she says. "This has been such an ordeal for you. So sorry about the diamonds." "It's a painful loss," says Crystal. "Well, life goes on." "Let's have breakfast at Coco's tomorrow," says Brenda. "My old man's still out of town." That evening, when Johnson arrives at her home, Crystal is vexed because he didn't bother to call first. But he seems so pleased to see her that she lets it pass. "I drove down to Chula Vista, checked with the sheriff's department there," he tells her. "Yes," says Chrissy. "They say it's already a cold trail. It ends where your safe was found. No sign of the necklace, no clue who the burglars were. The FBI is involved, but nobody holds out much hope." "Gee," says Crystal, "my necklace is gone. I just can't believe it." "Listen to me, Crystal," he says. "Lloyd's of London is going for a warrant. They want your house searched." "But why?" she interrupts. "The Chula Vista police searched our rooms. The diamonds are gone." "Crystal," he says, "if you have that necklace, if you know where it is or who took it, you must confide in me, and you must return it. This is serious. If you interfere with the recovery of the diamonds in any way, Lloyd's is going to bring charges against you. Do you understand? You could go to jail for years, lose your custody of your child. Now tell me everything." Chrissy cannot quite marshal indignation. Johnson is scolding her like a naughty child, a scolding she may well deserve. But along with it, she feels his most sincere wish to protect her from her own folly, much the way Ralph used to look after her. If only Ralph were here. "Bob, they took my safe out of that hotel room. The whole safe. I don't know how they did it. It was so heavy, Jose used a dolly to move it. My door was locked. I was asleep. It creeps me out the way they could just come into my room like that while I was sleeping. How could I know anything about it?" "Well, the police think it was an inside job. They say you may have hired someone to steal the necklace so you wouldn't have to return it." "What?" shrieks Crystal. "I didn't say I thought that, but Lloyd's considers that a strong possibility. As for me, well, I can't imagine who on this earth you could find to steal the diamonds and trust enough to give them back to you." "Well, right," says Crystal, "as if I'd even do such a thing." "Of course you wouldn't, Chrissy. But whatever you know or suspect, it will go better if you out with it right now. And if you do somehow find the necklace, you'd better get rid of it. You must not get caught with those diamonds now. Understand?" says Johnson. Chrissy nods. "Okay, Bob, sure. But I don't know anything, honestly. And I resent you suggesting I might find the diamonds. You might as well say you think I have them," she adds, failing to convey all the indignation she intends. Johnson pats her hand. "Now, Chrissy, I'm your lawyer and I have to consider every eventuality and advise you. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job, am I?" Chrissy follows him to the door. Before he leaves, he turns and kisses her cheek. He is almost exactly her height, and the move is as effortless as releasing a butterfly. Chrissy stares after him. How tired she is, too tired to make anything of the sudden kiss. Little Ralph is already asleep in his crib, thank goodness. He slept through most of the drive home, but once released from his car seat, refreshed and ebullient, he had made the floors rumble with running feet and the walls ring with shrieks and peals of laughter. Donna had all she could do to contain him. Now the house is still. Everyone is asleep. Crystal carefully locks the doors to her room and sits down at her dressing table. With a fine silver chain worn round her neck, she pulls from her bosom a little key and unlocks her travel case. She removes the passports of Donna, Philippa, and Jose to be returned tomorrow. She decides to leave her own and the baby's in the travel case for now. Next, she takes out a velvet bag and extracts the Eustice Diamonds. She lays them out on a mirrored tray. How they sparkle! The night of the robbery, she had taken the velvet pouch out of the safe and placed it under her pillow. She could not have said why. Surely the necklace was secure, more secure, in that heavy safe. But sleeping in strange surroundings made her uneasy, and she had followed this practice every night they were on the road, going and coming. Sometimes she slept with the stones nestled next to her heart. Their weight made her feel secure, the way she used to feel when she and Ralph held each other in sleep. Then, each morning, she would return them to the safe. Once she was in a safe place, and no place ever felt safer than the hacienda. She didn't bother to take the diamonds out at night. In fact, she forgot about them most of the time. Now she stares at the hard blazing stones. Where can she put them? The safe is gone, and her travel case, sturdy little train case that it is, weighs only a few pounds. Even little Ralph could carry it off. Anyone could. She is afraid to leave the diamonds in the house now. Of course, no one knows she has them. Officially, they are gone, stolen. But many suspect, and sooner or later there is bound to be a search. This sweet treasure that she wore so assertively to the opera with Lyman a few weeks ago has become a hateful burden, and she just wishes, she could be rid of the Eustice Diamonds for good and all. But how? If she gives them back, won't she be in trouble for reporting them stolen when she had them all along? Of course she will. Before Mexico, the jeweler who declined to appraise them had sent her the name of a suitable diamond dealer. But now, with the story of their theft and insinuations of her complicity all over the TV, attempting to contact the dealer would be as good as a confession. The man is presumably an honest trader, not a fence. A fence is what she needs. She has no idea where to find such a person. Making inquiries would only reveal her possession of the diamonds. She shivers. Changing into a flannel nightgown, she slips the necklace into its pouch and climbs into the empty bed, clutching the velvet bag to her heart. Rain falls during the night, but the morning is clear and bright. In the garden, camellias bloom, white ones and pink ones, nestled among glossy foliage. They sparkle with raindrops in the morning sun. Crystal and Brenda wait for a table in Coco's. At Brenda's insistence, little Ralph is with them. He's restless and hungry, fidgeting in her arms and then in Brenda's. But his native good nature prevails, and he does not embarrass them with loud shrieks or crying as another child might. He never has. Subsiding momentarily on Brenda's lap, little Ralph suddenly wriggles to the floor and runs to a tall, handsome man just entering the restaurant. Lyman Noble, and at his side Aunt Beatrice. The child wraps his arms around Lyman's legs. Lyman, to save his balance, lifts little Ralph and holds him up. "Well, hi there, Ralphie," he says, before setting the boy on his feet again. Crystal scoops the child into her arms. She can't hide her flush of joy at seeing Lyman. "Sorry," she says. "How have you been, Lyman?" What she means, of course, is, "Where have you been?" "We're fine, Crystal," says Lyman. "And yourself?" "Hello, Beatrice," says Crystal. She might be speaking to an ice carving. Beatrice stares straight ahead, ignoring Crystal. She says, "I'll just get us a table," and marches away to the counter. "We're all right," says Crystal to Lyman. "Just got back from Mexico yesterday. Brenda and I are waiting for a table. Maybe—" "Glad you got back safely," says Lyman, and then he strides abruptly away to join Aunt Beatrice at the counter. The hostess shows Crystal and Brenda to a coveted table near the back windows, where they can see happy customers coming and going between sun-splashed palm trees and late-model cars. Incompatible with Crystal's mood, a sickening emptiness and humiliation and loss, as if she has just missed boarding a splendid ship and can only watch it sail away. "I guess that's all over now," says Crystal. "Little Ralph sure remembers him," says Brenda. "Did you spend a lot of time with him in Mexico?" Crystal tells the story of her Mexico adventure, watching Lyman and Beatrice with furtive glances. A tall, homely woman, dressed in slacks and a pullover sweater, strides across the restaurant to join Lyman and Beatrice. "His fiancée, I suppose," Brenda comments, noticing Crystal's stare. "I've heard his mother was opposed to that arrangement. Probably why he didn't tell anyone. His mother wants him to marry better. That woman is a doctor. She's with Doctors Without Borders. Poor as dirt. She's a do-gooder like him. Maybe that's why. But he liked you, Crystal. I know he did. If it wasn't for that stink about the diamonds. Did you ever ask him if he was engaged?" Crystal shakes her head. "No, I never did." Crystal can see how stupidly she has deceived herself. All that time they spent together in Mexico, while she imagined a romance was kindling, she never asked the pivotal question, because she did not want to know. When Lyman insisted on bringing her son everywhere they went, she thought it meant he would be a caring and attentive stepfather. Now she sees that it was only ensured that their flirtation would go no further than it did. Maybe he enjoyed the flirtation as much as she did, but when it was time to end it, he had easily moved on. Her sudden notoriety over the diamonds was just one more reason for him to drop her. All the reason Aunt Beatrice needed to excommunicate her. And why not? The diamonds might be the only reason she ever found favor with that woman in the first place. Everything is painfully clear now. It is also painfully clear that she needs to be rid of those diamonds, one way or another, preferably without further disgrace, and she will get rid of them, even if she has to throw them into the sea. She shares none of this with Brenda. On her way home, Crystal passes a 25-mile-per-hour speed sign. The readout on her dash says 50. She accelerates through a red light. She has to get home, has to get rid of those diamonds. A sheriff could be rifling through her things right now. She expects to find flashing lights and surrounding her house, her bedroom tossed, and the locked train case seized. But all is calm. In her room, her train case is on the dressing table, right where she left it. Felipa is cooking something in the kitchen, and the TV is playing a Mexican soap opera. "Do you know where Donna is?" says Crystal. "I need her to take little Ralph for a while." "She went out," says Felipa. "I heard her leave, but she didn't say where. Probably be back pretty soon. Want me to take little Ralph?" "Thanks, Felipa," says Crystal. "He's in his car seat. Just bring him in. I have some business to take care of." In her room, she changes into slacks and trainers, frantically considering her options. Can she hide the diamonds in some distant place and hope no one figures out where? Hope no one stumbles on them by accident? But she can't think of any place that would be safe and not start another round of stress, worry, and indecision. She would be asking herself, "Are they still where I left them? When will it be safe to get them?" And then, "What will I do when I get them back?" No use asking for Robert's help. He's scrupulously honest, and she does trust him, but he would never conceal stolen gems. Maybe it's not too late to have Johnson return them to the Stonewell Trust. Could he come up with a good story, good enough that they won't come after her? But if she returns the diamonds now, there can be no denying that she reported them stolen when she had them all along. Undeniable guilt. Prison, maybe. The idea makes her heart pound. There will be nothing left of her if she goes to prison. Her son won't know her. No one will know her when she gets out. She draws forth her little key and inserts it in the lock of her train case. The key turns easily, too easily, not unlocking anything. The lid opens without resistance, and Crystal stares at the empty tray where she kept the diamonds in their velvet bag. The tray is empty. For an instant she only stares. She lifts the tray and looks under it. Completely empty. Her pearls, bracelets, earrings, and rings that she traveled with are all gone. Only the passports remain. It's too baffling. What happened to her jewels? Someone took them, of course, but who? There is only one possible answer. Crystal crosses the nursery and peers into Donna's room. Everything is in order, bed made. Some of her clothes are still in the closet. Well, why bother with your cheap old clothes when you are on the run with valuable loot? No toothbrush or cosmetics in her bathroom, no makeup, and the big colorful tote bag she carried all over Mexico is gone. Wow! It had to be Donna, and Donna must have been behind the first theft. She calls her attorney, not the police. "Bob," she says, "my nanny stole the diamonds." "How do you know?" "Can you please come over? I'll tell you everything." They sit on the lawn drinking tequila sunrises when Crystal tells the story. The lock was broken. All my jewelry is gone, even my wedding rings. Donna's gone. It was Donna, it had to be. Johnson appears to believe her. He says, "You have any idea where Donna is?" Crystal shakes her head. "No." "If the police can get the diamonds back, we'll release them to Lloyd's and convince them to drop the whole matter. But if the cops can't recover the diamonds, Chrissy, well, you'll still have to answer for their loss. Of course, we don't have to call the police. The diamonds are just gone, stolen. I doubt you could be convicted of any significant wrongdoing. Whatever they suspect, they have no evidence against you." "Call the police," says Chrissy. "Are you sure?" says Johnson. "Call the police. We can't let that backstabbing bitch just get away with my jewels." "Do you understand what I said? The risk to you if they don't find her?" Chrissy nods. "Call the police now." The police made a methodical search of Crystal's home, her vehicles, and even the garden. They expanded the search for the diamonds and the missing nanny, but the diamonds, along with Crystal's other trinkets, were gone. Eventually, the cops did find Donna. They caught up with her 2 months later in San Diego. She had a false name and lived in a boarding house where she worked as a part-time cleaner. To make ends meet, she took odd jobs, babysitting or dog walking. She had no money and, of course, no references. Dared not use her real name. Her accomplice, her brother, had abandoned her. She insisted she had never seen the diamonds. The San Diego sheriff arrested her for grand larceny, but without the diamonds as evidence, she might very well get off. She cooperated with the police, and they eventually caught up with her accomplice, who insisted the fire safe had been empty when they broke it open. Though charges were filed against Crystal, all related to her refusal to surrender the Eustice Diamonds, her attorney made bail, and she never spent a single night in jail. Thanks to her attorney's adroit plea bargaining, she got only a year probation in lieu of a prison sentence. Most felt she came out well, considering that nearly everyone believed she had engineered the burglary, and indeed that she probably still had the diamonds hidden somewhere. Others thought the actual jewels thieves had been duped by their fence, and that the magnificent Eustice diamonds were broken up and sold for the value of the stones, maybe in Europe or South America. "You mean I have to go to Chula Vista every month just to see the probation officer?" Crystal complains. "You do," says Johnson, "and when you go, try to remember how grateful you are that you are not in prison and that you still have your son with you." Crystal's mother returned from her sailing expedition to discover the dregs of scandal and unkind speculations about her daughter on the internet. She lost no time in extracting the facts from Robert Johnson. Then Crystal received this email from her mother. "Hi, Crystal. What were you thinking when you decided to keep those diamonds? This imbroglio has destroyed your prospects for a decent marriage. Respectable men require respectable wives. It's a pity they never found those diamonds. Now what do you think you're going to do? You'd better take Robert Johnson while you can get him. He means to ask you. Robert is well enough off, but frankly, he's not a rich man, not like Ralph was." He wants to combine resources with a well-to-do partner to ensure a comfortable life for himself in retirement. You're not nearly as well off as I would have expected, but the house is worth something, and you have a decent lifetime income. Not bad, but considering Ralph's circumstances, not great either. Anyway, Robert likes you, and you'll just have to make the best of each other. He's a very smart man. His manners are excellent. He's retired, so he doesn't have to worry about your reputation. With that diamond incident casting shade on your character, it's doubtful you can ever do any better. Marry Robert. It will be for the best. And let me know when you set a date. Love, Maureen. What finally happened to the Eustice Diamonds? Well, when Donna broke into Crystal's train case, the Eustice Diamonds were not in it. Donna took what jewelry she found there. She couldn't hide the break-in, and so she had to follow her escape plan with or without the Eustice Diamonds. Then, where are the diamonds? The diamonds are in their velvet bag, tucked into a pocket in the lining of Crystal's jacket, the one she wore to breakfast that morning. Crystal's train case was broken into, and Donna has absconded with Crystal's jewelry. Donna must have expected to find the Eustice Diamonds in the train case. Only the thieves could have been sure that Crystal still had the diamonds. So it must have been Donna that let the thieves into her hotel room to steal the fire safe, making Donna a perfect scapegoat. Of course, if the police find her, Donna will doubtless point the finger of accusation at Crystal. Crystal will never have peace as long as she has the diamonds. It takes only minutes to drive to the Terrania. She leaves her car in the resort parking lot and follows a hiking trail to the sea cliff. The tide is out. The sea is calm. A scramble trail takes her to the rocky shore. Ocean waves break rhythmically. The swirling white foam reminds her of the Milky Way on a San Sebastian night. She sits on a damp boulder. These white pants have to go to the cleaners anyway. And she opens the velvet bag to stare again at the diamonds. She spreads the necklace on her lap. How the diamonds do sparkle in the sun. If they were hers, she could sell them and do good in the world. But they are not hers. They are not hers. They never were hers. If she gives them back, they will have a long, dark future in the vault at Justice Jewelers, and she will have a long, dark reputation as a jewel thief, but not the jewels, not to mention the possibility of prison. But if they are lost, well and truly lost, Lloyd's of London will surely pay Justice Jewelers a noble tax-free fortune. Her reputation won't be spared, but maybe she can avoid the humiliation of arrest and trial, prison or probation. The Eustice Diamonds weigh heavy on her thighs. She has loved and cherished them for months, but now they seem overdone and gaudy. Did they really make her regal and superior? For this gewgaw, she has become a thief and a liar. They had dazzled her, blinded her eyes, while bringing shame and disgrace in the eyes of everyone else. Moments later, without regret, she stands up, winds up her best overarm pitch, and hurls the Eustice Diamonds into the air. In a flood of relief, She watches their flashing trajectory arc upward and then down, down past the granite rocks, beyond the breaking surf, down, down, down to the rolling sea, where they vanish in a minor splash.